What is going on, everybody? Greg Ehrenberg here from OddsShopper, and we're about to break down a four-game NBA slate. We'll look at some of the big baseball slates today. Lots of games spread out throughout the day. As you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and apologies that I wasn't here yesterday. I had some doctor's appointments, so wasn't available to record my video as I normally do in the morning. But if you guys are in our Chalkboard channel, I did throw one bet into there. Ended up winning. It was Nikola Jokic plus 215 to have a triple-double. So if you guys ever want access to me, even when I'm not working for a day, download our Chalkboard app. It is totally free to download Chalkboard and also free to get into our channel. There's a link for that below. Now, let's get some of the data up on screen for the basketball games today. And yeah, four-game slate. I expect this is going to be the last four-game slate of the entire season. I think some series are going to end. We saw some series that ended last night, or a couple of them. And we actually saw the Hawks end up winning late against the Celtics, or else there wouldn't have been any games for Thursday. But now we do have one game tomorrow night. But let's walk through some of the stuff that's projecting best for today. And yeah, right off the bat here, the number one bet of the day. Well, not necessarily number one overall ROI, but the one that our model recommends that you place the biggest wager on. That is what the OS bet percentage is here. Is the Milwaukee Bucks first quarter money line. It is minus 235 at Unibet. And yeah, much better line than's available anywhere else. See, like DraftKings has a minus 260, FanDuel minus 280. And just considering the stakes of this game, right? We've got the Bucks down 3-1. I do think there's going to be a little bit more urgency on the Milwaukee side of the game in terms of making sure that Giannis plays big minutes, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. I think that it's very realistic to think that Milwaukee plays their core guys more minutes than what the Heat play their core guys. So seeing the Bucks get off to a hot start in this game wouldn't surprise me. It does project for a 5% expected ROI. We're expecting them to win the first quarter 74% of the time. So even though there is some juice here, minus 235, it's worthwhile considering the projected odds there. Bam Adebayo under 8.5 rebounds. I'm going to stay away from the Giannis prop here just because I think there is potential for him to play massive minutes, and it's kind of hard for him to project for there. Massive rebound prop line here on Anthony Davis, 13.5. That is available at FanDuel, Unibet, and BetRivers all have AD set at 13.5 rebounds. And he's healthy. He's playing really well in the postseason. It's just hard for me to think that Anthony Davis regularly gets to 14 or more rebounds than he does to get to 13 or less. I mean, if you look at Anthony Davis for this series, he's had some big rebound games, but still 3 out of 4 games, he has had 12 or less rebounds. He had the one game where he went out and pulled down 17 boards, but overall 11, 17, 8, 12. So under this mark in 3 out of 4 games. And for the season, Anthony Davis had a really great year, but overall averaged right around 12.5 rebounds per game in the regular season. So under 13.5, I think that's a pretty good play there on AD. And I would expect that to be bet down as the day goes on. Just a massive number. Julius Randle has been a player who's been a little bit hard to predict in the playoffs just because he came in banged up. And we've actually seen reduced playing time for Randle, which is funny. He played such big minutes throughout the regular season. And now in the playoffs, we haven't quite seen him get to that same kind of playing time. So far in the series, he has played 34, 33, 33, and last game just 27 minutes. And it's been twofold. I don't think he's totally healthy. He came into the playoffs with an ankle injury, which I do think he's battling through. But on top of that, he just isn't playing very well. And also that has to do, I believe, with the ankle injury. So it's hard for the Knicks to go out and say like, hey, let's go play Julius Randle 40 minutes when he's banged up and has not been quite himself when he's been on the court in the playoffs here. So under 32.5 PRA, best line is available at FanDuel. I think that makes some sense here. And yeah, 32.5 is available at other books as well. BetRivers, DraftKings, but FanDuel does have the best line at under 32.5 at minus 106. See some other prop lines. Draymond Green, interesting situation with Draymond because I'm not sure if he's going to start or not today. Gun to my head, if I had to guess, I would say Draymond will be in the starting lineup, but he didn't start last game against the Kings, and it was obviously a pivotal game for the Warriors. They were down 2-1 in the series. They ended up winning to tie the series back up at 2, but Draymond comes off the bench, only plays 31 minutes in that game. If we're going to see Draymond play slightly reduced minutes coming off the bench, then I'm going to like some of his unders. I wouldn't bet this, though, until we get the Warriors starting lineup because much less appeal in it for me if we do see that Draymond's inserted back into the starting lineup, which, like I said, gun to my head, I think he does go back into the starting lineup, but we can't rule out the possibility he comes off the bench after he came off the bench last game and it is the game the Warriors ended up winning. Any other props that are standing out here? Jared Allen under 9.5 rebounds. That is plus money. If we look at Jared Allen for this series, also something else about the Knicks Cavs series and some of the unders here. This has been a very low paced series, as it should be. These are two of the not fastest paced teams in the NBA. And if you look at today, this is as low of a total as I can remember in any game this season. Cavs are favored by 5.5 points. The over under is 202.5. So not as many possessions in this game as we typically see. That's definitely one of the reasons why Julius Randle under PRA looks good. Same with something like Jared Allen under 9.5 rebounds. And the last two games for Jared Allen, a total of 9 rebounds. Last game, he had 4 rebounds, did score 14 points. The game before, 6 points and only 5 rebounds. So plus money on under 9.5 rebounds for Jared Allen. I think that looks pretty good for today, particularly at the plus money. Let's go and check on the baseball slate. And big baseball day. Wednesday is typically a big baseball day. We've got afternoon games. We've got night games. So we'll look at what stands out here before we close this out for the night. But first off, Mackenzie Gore. Really tough matchup for him against the Mets. And Gore was one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball heading into last season. And while I still have some promise for him, I still think there's a chance that he becomes a top of the rotation type starter. He got injured in the second half of last year and just hasn't really been the same guy quite since. And the results so far from this year haven't been terrible, but the underlying stats do suggest that he's been a little bit lucky. 3.43 ERA, but a 4.04 expected ERA, a 4.18 FIP there. So I think there's a little bit of regression coming from Mackenzie Gore. He's on the road in a super difficult matchup against the Mets, who have a lot of hitters that crush left-hand pitching. So under 5.5 strikeouts for Mackenzie Gore. Definitely that makes some sense. And really low prop here. Hunter Brown, one of my favorite young pitchers in baseball. Hunter Brown, I want to say there was an over on a strikeout prop. We hit on him 2 weeks ago or something like that projected fairly well in OddsShopper. And I understand with how well the Rays are hitting, you maybe don't feel great about taking a pitcher's over strikeouts against them. But keep in mind, this is one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. Terrific stuff, too, for Hunter Brown. And the strikeout prop here, only 4.5. The best available line is at Unibet at minus 143. If you look at FanDuel, has over 5.5 at plus 122. That's not all that much different from the over 4.5. So I actually would rather bet over 5.5 at plus 122 on FanDuel than the over 4.5 at minus 165 on DraftKings. So Hunter Brown, there's a little bit of upside in his strikeout stuff there. Rowdy Tellez, I did end up betting him to homer yesterday, and he ended up coming through. Pretty low over-under here, just 0.5 total base. Just need one hit out of Rowdy Tellez, and that would end up cashing at minus 130. We have the winning 59% of the time. I think that is a pretty good look. Logan Gilbert, over 5.5 strikeouts. So Gilbert was initially expected to start yesterday, and then that start ended up getting pushed back. I don't really think there's any real injury concern here. I think it was just the Mariners giving him an extra day, changing up the rotation a little bit. And yeah, the Phillies offense has been a little bit underwhelming this year. They were expected to be better after signing Trey Turner. But with that in mind, they have no Bryce Harper to start the year. That's definitely been something that's been impactful. And if you look at the numbers for Logan Gilbert so far to open up the season, he has 6 or more strikeouts in every single start this year. So the 5.5 strikeout prop does look pretty low. If we look at the games for Gilbert here, by the way, 2 starts against the Guardians to open up the year. 7 strikeouts against Cleveland, 6 strikeouts against Cleveland, 7 strikeouts against the Cubs, 8 strikeouts against the Brewers. I don't think Gilbert should ever have a 5.5 strikeout prop. Should probably be 6.5 in this spot. So that is an over. I also like a couple first inning props. Yes, run in first inning for the Guardians-Rockies game. Yes, run in the first inning in the Red Sox-Orioles game. Yes, run in the first inning in the Nationals-Mets game. Also kind of correlates to liking the under strikeouts for Mackenzie Gore. So 2 of these also plus money bets, the Nationals-Mets game and the Rockies-Guardians. All these make sense to me. Let's build out a PrizePicks parlay, and that'll finish the slate for us. And hopefully we should have some good NBA stuff in here too with the amount of basketball games. Yes, primarily basketball, and this is a 6-leg parlay with an 11% expected ROI in the flex over on PrizePicks. Almost entirely basketball, but we do have Hunter Dozier over 0.5 total bases. Just need 1 hit out of Hunter Dozier. Under 24.5 points for Desmond Bane. Under 4.5 rebounds for Klay Thompson. Under 13.5 rebounds for Domantas Sabonis. Here's an over on Giannis, over 29.5 points, and an over on PRA, over 29.5 for Jrue Holiday. both those make sense to me. I talked about it at the top when it comes to looking at some of these Bucks props. I'm a little wary of any unders that project well from them, just because there is the opportunity for these guys to go out and play 42, 44 minutes in a must-win type scenario. But any overs that project well, I think also get a little bit of a boost in the event that we see extended minutes out of those Bucks core players. So this is a good-looking flex parlay over at PrizePicks. And don't forget, too, they do have their $1 million giveaway right now. If you haven't signed up at PrizePicks yet, use the promo code GregOS. That'll get you up to a $100 bonus on your first deposit over there. So that is going to do it for us here, looking at all the bets. If you guys want to get access to these tools, we do have a 7-day free trial available by using the link below in the description box. And that's it. Any other questions, hit me up in Chalkboard. If you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck, guys. See you back here tomorrow.